issues concerning local, state, and national topics of importance to the Jonesboro community. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters, donors, or sponsors.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is our show, Our Thoughts on the Matter, on KLEK 102.5 FM. I am joined by Miss Helen Scott, as we know, Cato Wonder, and Mr. Brad Dial.
Hello, everybody.
We have a couple of interesting topics today. The first is going to be Dan Sullivan and his recent news about the things that's been going on in the daycare situation. Act 1116, which is dealing with DHS and the foster care system. And also, if we have time, just thoughts about what's recently been in the news here lately about North Korea and what we really need to do to prepare. So, Brad, what's your comments?
Which topic?
I guess Mr. Brad, Mr. Dan Sullivan.
I don't know. I kind of want to go on a direction of this. He is the CEO of a daycare company, of course, as we all know. That's a Ascent School. I actually do have some personal feelings on this. I have a nephew that went through Ascent in Benton and Bryan area. So I kind of have a personal connection to this, and I've seen all the positive that come out of this school. I guess really the big thing on this topic for me is, we're focusing on the CEO of a company versus the people that were directly related to the death of this child.
Right.
So I would actually like to hear the topics on that. Is like, why are we not focusing on the people that were directly responsible for this child, and this child has passed? I mean, it's extremely sad.
Right.
It is extremely sad. That should never happen.
Right.
And these 4 people failed this child.
Right.
So I guess my question is, why are we focusing on the CEO of a company versus the people that are directly responsible?
Well, I think typically with how our society works is that people tend to focus more of those on the top, because the person at the top makes the most money, has the most responsibilities, who may be the face of the company or the organization. So that's likely the person who gets the attention. But, I would agree with you, there were other people who were involved in this, and their role should definitely be examined as well.
If you go read the articles that have been about this, if you read the key words that are going on inside these articles, it's always policy, procedure, policy, procedure, policy, procedure. And these people directly violated policy and procedure in place by a company. Blatantly. And so can you really throw a CEO under the bus when they have things in place already?
My question is, do you think the reason why he's getting so much heat is because he's an elected official?
Oh, 100%. I really do. There were actually, this past 2 weeks ago, there was a death in a daycare in Florida. It got about a blip on the news and it's done, but we're still talking about this because, I hate to say it, but it's fueling an agenda.
Right.
And I'll throw a direct correlation here is, if I was to go over into Walmart and have a slip and fall on aisle 12 next to the sodas, you're not going to throw Sam Walton under the bus. He is dead, but you get my point. But you get my point,
Good luck.
well, one of the Walton children.
But you get my point,
Well,
if...
I've been looking for someone to talk to about the Walmart situation.
Well, yeah.
Helen, bring that mic a little closer.
I guess that's kind of my point, if a guy in a warehouse for Amazon gets hurt, in a warehouse and can't work. He's medically incapable at that point. You're not going to throw the CEO of Amazon under the bus. You're going to go directly.
Workman's comp.
You're going to go directly to those involved.
And speaking of Amazon, and turn number 4 down on that blackboard. But speaking of that, you know, Jeff Bezos is now the richest person in the world. He is now actually eclipsed Bill Gates for that title.
Yeah, depending on the stock market fluctuates, but you're right. Yeah, he's up there. I mean,
But of course, a part of that also is that, you know, Bill and Melinda Gates, you know, they have pledged to pretty much give away the majority of their money, you know, by the time that they die. So, you know, they're actually, that's another reason why that they're they're still
Wealthy, but
richer than we'll ever see probably, but they're giving away a lot of the money. But Helen is our newest contributor to our panel. I'm just gonna get your thoughts on what we talked about so far. We want to welcome you to our thoughts on
yes,
the matter.
welcome.
Well, thank you guys for having me. And my
Tell,
thoughts.
I guess, not to cut you off, but I guess a little bit before you give your thoughts, just kind of tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, listeners, my name is Helen, and I live in Jonesboro, and I'm the guest today on Our Thoughts on the Matter.
Well, not just for today, hopefully every week.
He keeps saying that.
If he didn't say it, he wouldn't mean it.
I know. Okay, so I was looking into this, and you all keep mentioning the child left in the van. That is a very, very serious thing. Although, if you go and look into it a little bit more, there were some incidences that were occurring around this. They actually had to go in there and do a deep cleaning of this exact location, the same one that had unfortunately lost a child. They had to go in there and do a deep cleaning for this bacterial infection they had spread, and not once but twice. Yes, and so now I believe they're in the phase of just trying to figure out where it's actually coming from, whether it's something that a child is bringing from an outside environment inside, or if it's something that's running its course through this place constantly.
And most recent in the news, on top of, you know, the sickness and a child unfortunately passing away in a van, but there was also a child left unoccupied for several hours that an employee did not know was missing. Like, as in his clothes were torn, he was bloodied up, mud, and somebody outside the daycare facility actually seen him and brought notice to it.
And not to pass judgment on anyone, any business owners or any employees, any parents, any children. These things, they do happen all of the time, especially in the care, whether it's elderly care, child care, animal care, things like that. You have to be very, very careful. And my thinking is that possibly it was too many things from the same location.
Right.
And he is the CEO, so there definitely has to be, who do you actually go to for answers as to how something constantly keeps happening in this same location.
Right.
It just gets worse.
Right.
So at this point, I believe there was a conversation that was had between he and the officials that were helping to handle the one matter, and then you just have something else that gets thrown in there that it's like an ongoing investigation on all ends of this. So I'm thinking that had its total effect.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I would actually agree with you on this, but I mean, you really have to stop and think. There is the basic structure of managerial and chain of command with anything, and that's the reasons that chain of command is there. It's the reason why managers are there, supervisors are there, and then all the way down to the direct, people hands-on. It still comes back to personal accountability.
Right.
I mean, these people, these caregivers, for lack of a better word at this point, that were directly involved with this child passing or this child being on the daycare for a certain amount of time, they failed these kids. And it is them.
Yes.
It is them.
Yes.
They more than likely, they have passed certifications and qualifications to be in that position. So they were there probably on their own merit. They just weren't hired directly off the street. They probably went through a vetting process, because we all know that childcare, healthcare, there's a very under a microscope, business.
Say it with me, micro hiring.
What's that? But before you answer that, you are tuned to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLK 102.5 FM. We're discussing a variety of topics today. We're kind of getting still into the topic of the situation with Mr. Sullivan and the daycare, and we're also going to tie in some recent law that was passed that affects DHS, which may address some of these things as well. But if you want to weigh in, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. Or you can weigh in on our Facebook live feed. Feel free to comment, leave your questions and your comments, and we'll be happy to address them. Now, Amanda, what were you saying about micro hiring?
That's where you. Oh, I just went blank.
It happens to us
Like
all.
micromanagement, and but it's dealing with hiring. You should, and I'm hopefully any kind of profession dealing with care in general, whether it be a nursing home, hospital, daycare, whatever, is very scrutinous on who they hire. Background checks. And I know when I worked at the hospital, I had to submit to a 10-year federal background check.
Well, when I was a teacher, I had to do the same thing, get the FBI fingerprints and the state police fingerprints and
Hair
all of
follicle
that.
test.
Well, they didn't check my hair, but they did do the background checks and the fingerprints before I could get my teacher license. So, yes, in a former life, your boy Cato was a school teacher.
Well, they do put you through a lot of a screening process. It's supposed to be a very almost intrusive type of looking. They more likely to go through a couple of different resources just to make sure that they have all of these different networks of information coming in. So then it takes it to what happens after that is done to where you start getting these problems this big. Where is this mishap? If they've done all of the investigative hiring, if they've done all of the interviewing process where you're supposed to be able to get a feel off of a person and ask all those probing questions, then at what point does it start becoming where you get I know I'm possibly pronouncing it wrong, a Shigella outbreak. Is that how you pronounce it?
I don't.
Twice, and then a child left in the daycare. We imagine that you go over these things protocol, that you remind each of your staff members, you guys, we have to make sure this. So from the beginning part where you're going through the applications and then you're making sure everyone has their certification and the necessary requirements, then at some point something happened to where there was a oversight. Maybe too many children.
And I was about to say that. My question is, are they at staff level, the minimal level, as many children to teacher ratio? Is there so much responsibility that, lack of better phrasing, and I'm sorry for what I'm saying, these children are slipping through the cracks? I know also Dan Sullivan also participated in, while me and Cato, I was going for the city and Cato was going to Las Vegas, that they had a town hall meeting where Dan Sullivan actually participated in it, and that it was not a very good day for him.
Well, obviously, there's no way to make that positive whatsoever.
And, well, go ahead, Brad.
Well, I see where you're going with this, and I agree. When things are overcrowded, things can slip through the cracks. But again, go read the actual articles again and the things that were presented. And this is not a topic of slipping through the cracks.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. The dead man switch on the back of the van was manually deactivated.
Yeah.
The alarm that makes them get out and go to the back of the van, it was deactivated.
Right.
This child sat in a van for close to 10 hours. They manually checked him in on the attendance. This is not a slip through the cracks. This
Right.
is just pure, unadulterated negligence. That's
That's
all
what-
this is.
That's what I'm saying.
so-
when did that start happening? Was it just this one, or was it like a constant? That may be why they decided to bring Mr. Sullivan in and up to date
So-
as what's going on in his facility.
It's just pure negligence, and I think the things that are happening right now in the media are just pure deflection away from accountability.
Yeah, right.
That's all it is.
Well,
Point blank.
see, as the CEO, you are also responsible for your employees. You are responsible
Can't
for
deny
your
that.
business.
Yeah, I will not
You
deny
know,
that.
is the procedures to laissez-faire? I mean, is there? I'm sure this. I'm hoping and praying to God that something They need some accountability.
All right, I'm gonna turn on the other two mics. We want to
I
welcome.
did.
Okay, we want to welcome Brother Cobbs, who is one of our regular contributors. Also want to welcome Brother Boyd. Brother Boyd was actually my very first volunteer at KLEK. He was our original host of Victory Praise Gospel. He's in town visiting. So
One of the original hosts.
okay. Well, Brother Cobbs, you was there on that day too, but his show came on before yours.
No, we came together.
It's starting to sound like twins in here. No, I was born first.
We love both of you guys.
That's right.
So brother Boyd, what brings you to town?
Oh, wedding?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you in the wedding or you just
Oh no, I'm not gonna be in the wedding until I'm getting married.
I got you. All right, well, Brother Cobbs, you want to weigh in? We've been kind of talking about the Dan Sullivan situation. You know, we're getting ready to transition into the DHS law, so you just want to kind of weigh in with any comments?
Well, I think excuse me, I gave my comments the first time around. I'm still standing on that. The accountability relies on the adult, true enough. I don't know about the owner of the place because you're just hiring people, and people are entitled to make mistakes. But like you said, they checked him in all them times, and I guess it's just it's just almost like a normal routine where he's normally here, click, he's normal here, he's normal here, but just to actually go and check. I mean, if you're an inspector, you go by where you look at it and say, that's all right. But eventually you just click and keep going. You don't open every box. You don't push up every package of chips and see if there's 96 in the box when it's supposed to be. You just get so accustomed. American has just got so accustomed at sightseeing or put in the frame of mind that's where it should be, and we just keep on going.
All right, and let's go ahead and transition into Act 1116, which is kind of related to this. I'm going to read you the text of it. It says, and this is coming from KAIT. It says, the Law Act 1116 was sponsored by Senator Alan Clark, a Republican from Lonsdale, and Representative Mickey Gates, Republican from Hot Springs, and Kim Hammer, Republican from Benton. It was approved 82-0 in the House and 31-2 in the Senate. Under the new law, the Department of Human Services must look at a variety of factors before placing a child in foster care. When the Department of Human Services takes custody of a juvenile under Arkansas Code 12-18-1001, or when the court determines that a juvenile should be removed from his or her home, under the subchapter, the department shall conduct an immediate assessment to locate a non-custodial parent of the juvenile, recommended relatives of the juvenile, including each grandparent of the juvenile, and all parents of a juvenile siblings if the parent has custody of the sibling, and fictive kin identified by the juvenile as one or more persons who play or have a significant positive role in his or her life, the law reads. The new law also takes a look at possible safety issues in placing a child into foster care, as well as requires DHS to present to courts a record of the efforts made to locate the non-custodial parent, relatives, fictive kin, or other persons identified under subdivision B1A of this section, and the results of the assessment. Also, the law takes a look at the time frame in which a child stays in foster care, and in the process, the court may order juveniles who are in the custody of the department to be placed in a trial placement with parents of the person from which custody was removed for a period not to exceed 60 days, except as approved by the department, and in any event not to exceed 6 months. The law noted, at every stage of the case, the court shall consider the least restrictive placement for the juvenile and assess safety concerns that prevent either a trial home placement or the juvenile from being returned or placed in the custody of the parent of the juvenile.
What does that have to do with Dan Sullivan?
It's dealing with the new act that has come about for the new Arkansas state law as of July the 31st of 2017, I do believe,
For foster care,
for foster care.
not for.
It's just a different
we
topic.
transition, right?
Oh,
We
okay.
don't
Different
I want
topic,
to make
yeah.
sure
You gotta keep up with us.
I
Keep up
want to
with
make
us.
sure, see where we at, make sure we're on the same page.
Okay, this is mainly trying to keep the child with the prospective family. They're trying not to break up the family, and they even went too far as fictive kin, as cousins, and all the way down the line. If that cousin had an adequate part in that child's, important part in that child's life, not just a cousin just hanging out on the street.
Potentially godparents, things like that.
Godparents and stuff like that. And if you are a godparent, go get yourself legalized so you can have godparents' rights. And then there's no problem if you're getting a foster child, someone else's child, if you have godparents' rights.
I didn't know there was such a thing as godparent rights. Yeah, I learned something today.
Yep.
Yes, it is. Yes. Godparent rights, most have more, if you're a maternal godparent, you almost have more right than the paternal father.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, I definitely love to see
That
some more
makes
data
sense.
on that one.
Yeah, because the mama picks them out.
Right. The mother picks them.
It's supposed to be after a lot of thought, a lot of really serious thought.
So you
it
go
makes
get legalized that you are the godparent, you have a lot of rights.
And with that, we're going to get ready to go into a break. Oh, we got one Facebook comment, so let's see what we got. Hopefully we can get it in before we get off of this break. If my phone acts right, and it looks like my phone may not act right, but we'll see. Quabila says, I think there needs to be a zero tolerance policy. The parent or state is paying for the child care services. If the individual is only working for a paycheck, then they need to reevaluate themselves. That is not the job for them. Well, Kabila, we'll talk about that when we come back from the break. This is Our Thoughts on the Matter, and this is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
This is Leo with your KLEK Learn Spanish Minute. Alright, so when you're on vacation, you need 3 things basically to get around. Then, of course, you can always add to this list, but this list is very, let's say, the basic list for vacation, alright? The lista básica.
Say it again.
Lista básica.
La básica.
Lista básica.
Lista básica.
There you go, that's the basic list. So in our basic list, we have, to start with, if you're driving, you need gas, right, for your car?
Yep.
So you'll need gasolina.
Gasolina. Now my van burns diesel. How would you say diesel?
Oh, that would be. Now you got me in trouble, but it's diesel too. We call it diesel in Spanish.
Okay.
You will need food too. Food is comida.
Comida.
Comida. That's an easy one. I mean, whenever you go anywhere, you want to eat something. I need comida.
Comida.
All right. And if you want to eat early in the morning, that's when you have that rush for food. You call it desayuno. Again, we saw it before, but you need to practice it.
Desayuno.
Desayuno. All right, that would be it. I am Leo, and this was your KLEK Learn Spanish Minute.
Blues Live for 5, Part 2 at Legends Barbecue Smokehouse. Only $5 admission. Saturday, August 19th, 7 o'clock p.m. Featuring from Dallas, Texas, Lerone Powers.
What's the name of that thing we only last night?
Lerone Powers.
And is a mother, but don't get caught. You're gonna have to pay the cost.
Performing all of his hits.
Ain't nothing but a party. Jumping like a pole in the wall.
Lerone Powers. Don't miss it. Blues Live for 5 at Legends Barbecue Smokehouse. Saturday, August 19th, 7 o'clock p.m. Only $5 admission. This event is a KLEK fundraiser.
The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established on January 1st, 1977, originally serving Blytheville, Arkansas, and now serving Jonesboro, Blytheville, Osceola, Marion, and West Memphis, Arkansas. Today, the chapter continues to make an impact by focusing on Alpha's national community outreach initiatives such as My Brother's Keeper, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, Go to High School, Go to College, Project Alpha, Boy Scouts, and the March of Dimes. The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is committed to Alpha's mission of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, while providing service and advocacy to the community. More information about the Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is available at MOL Alphas on Facebook or via email at molalphas@gmail.com.
Check out Melvin Williams of the Williams Brothers every Sunday morning from 5 to 7 a.m. here on KLEK for the Melvin Williams Down Home Gospel Radio Show, playing the very best in quartet and inspirational gospel music that you'll love, as well as feature interviews with all of your favorite gospel artists. It's Melvin Williams Down Home Gospel Radio Show, Sundays from 5 to 7 a.m. on KLEK 102.5 FM.
From the KLEK Community Calendar, New St. John Missionary Baptist Church presents Back to School Bash and Diaper Distribution. There will be school supplies given away as well as diapers. There will also be food, games, music, and door prizes. This event will take place August 12th, 2017 from 10 o'clock a.m. until 2 o'clock p.m. at New St. John Missionary Baptist Church, 310 North Main Street in Jonesboro. Did you know that KLEK 102.5 FM is a non-profit organization? Did you know that you can donate to KLEK 102.5 FM and your donation is tax deductible? Donations to non-profit organizations such as KLEK can reduce the amount of taxes you may owe the IRS or increase the amount of any potential tax refund. Support your KLEK today. You can donate by calling 870-277-1080, visiting our studio at 1411 Franklin Street in Jonesboro, or on our website www.klekfm.org. We at KLEK 102.5 FM are blessed and grateful for your support.
And now back to our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you for joining us after this break. Before we went to break, Miss Quabila had a comment, and what's y'all's opinions?
Let's hear the comment again.
All right, Amanda, do you have it pulled up?
I've got it right.
I thought you were doing it.
Brad, you can read
So,
the comment.
Ms. Quabila made a comment about our first topic, dealing with the child care. She says, I think there needs to be a zero tolerance policy. The parent or state is paying for the child care services. If the individual is only working for a paycheck, then they need to reevaluate themselves. That is not the job for them.
I totally agree with
It
that.
happens
Comments.
all the time.
And we got a couple Facebook shouts before y'all respond to that. Shout out to Valerie Turner Peoples and Michael Boone Sr. Appreciate both of you for checking in on our Facebook live feed. You can also check in and give your comments, or you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Okay, now let's get your responses to Quabila.
Well, I agree with what she says. How many times are you going to let something slip before you notice this is becoming a bigger problem? And then you have normal warnings and things like that. You have to document all of everything just because of the type of facility that it is. So let's go check these records and see if this is the first incident, or like if they have these incidents documented only because they've been the only incidences, or if there's others that led up to it, if they will even release those records to be viewed. So
Okay, getting to it, but okay, I hear what you're saying, Ms. Heller, but getting to what Quabila was saying, are they qualified, in other words, to be
Is this just a paycheck,
right,
or
it
is
just
their
a
heart in the
paycheck,
right
or is their
place?
heart in the right place? And 90%, some people like working with kids. I mean, I give my heart out to them. But I'm not going to go try for a daycare job. I'm not even going to open a daycare because my heart is not there. That's not my passion.
And you know, this comment came up during the break as well about this comment, is that, you know, more than likely these people are there. They're having to go through certifications. They're having to go through background checks. So if it's more than just a paycheck, they're putting effort into getting just a paycheck, obviously. But I will agree, though.
Slip through the loopholes,
Right,
though,
now-
because everybody don't go that route.
So my next comment on this, so I do agree that, you know, like just like in certain jobs, like for example teachers, there probably needs to be reevaluation and recertification to keep them on the right track. But
And
then again,
that's- that's in place.
if they need to personally reevaluate themselves, whose determination is it then that they're not fit for the job, and then what other issues does that open up when they get let go because
Okay,
they're
now
not
you
in
open
the
up
heart
a
of
whole
it?
Well,
I know exactly. So there's a whole
as a
spiral.
Former
Can
school
of worms.
teacher, I can
Yes.
speak to this. You know, you do have to get your teacher license renewed. You know, your principal does a review of your performance each year, and you know, they evaluate the scores of your students. And if you found that you're lacking, they would try to put you on an improvement plan,
Right.
try to see if they can correct whatever issues they find that you are deficient in before they finally dismiss you if after other options have been exhausted.
No, I agree.
I agree with what you're saying, but how many teachers really get dismissed?
Oh, the state of Arkansas?
Well,
It's very
you're looking
small.
at one.
Did you get dismissed?
Yes, I was terminated.
It's okay. It happens.
I was terminated.
It happens, people. It happens. We just surprised.
But no, it was a lot of it was due to licensing issues, and there was some other things. Some of it is privilege, but I was ultimately dismissed from my teaching job. But it was a blessing in disguise. Just like I'm not gonna get into my life story, but everything happened for a reason, and it.
Amen.
You would not be where you are today.
Yeah,
That's right.
Because if I was still teaching, I would have not gotten my first radio job, and we wouldn't be sitting here. So I thank God for it regardless.
I know someone who turned down a position in a place similar to that because they knew what it was going to be about. They knew the type of environment it was going to be in. It's not just a regular daycare. There's some children there that require a little special needs, a special handling to them. You have to be very careful. It's a little different care than just a regular child that just is going through first grade, second, and third grade. This is a little bit different, and they turned down the position because they simply did not want to do it. And sometimes we have to think about who is going for that because they want to go ahead and do it anyway, between the ones that's saying, I've been in this environment.
Let's go to the Facebook Live feed. Kabitha's got a couple more comments. She says, but at what time do they lose the passion for the job?
Exactly.
Most businesses have therapists and counseling services available. I just personally feel that if someone is burnt out, then they need to take personal responsibility and take a break and get the help that they need.
Amen.
Exactly.
In the medical field, it happens quite a bit, and not just the medical field, the teaching field, the truck, just about every kind of field you can think of. I mean, if you've got long hours, it's stressful, you're short-handed, you're gonna get burnout. And sometimes you got to be the bigger person, even if you love like with me, I love nursing, but I knew nursing was not for me. I knew because I got burnt out in a year and a half because working 7 days a week, 18 hours a day, it was hard on me. Not just physically, but emotionally. And, I can relate to some of these daycare workers. I mean, you and teachers, you are meeting the needs of, 10 plus children, and if you're the only one in there, that's a lot of needy children. I have 3 myself, and it takes me all day, and it wears me out. So I mean, I kind of feel for them.
Yeah, because your little one Anna, she definitely had a lot of energy. She loved the fish tank. Shout out to Reef Escapes.
You guys, I hate to interject, but I know the topic that we kind of grazed on, and I was wondering if we were gonna go back into that
about the
DHS.
Okay, well let's transition back into DHS. So Helen, we'll let you kind of lead back off with it.
Well, when I was talking about the band.
The band.
Yes.
Okay. Well, when we were off,
okay, I'm confused.
Well, let me get it back. Basically, when we were off break, we discussed the Missouri travel ban that's been issued by the NAACP. And let me just kind of pull up some brief information
Missouri,
background information about
Arkansas,
that. So
if it's Arkansas, it comes to Jones.
But if you are, while he's pulling it up, and you want to be a foster parent, they said, they put that child there. You got 60 days to get your credentials together. And then after 60 days, that child can stay in your house for up to 6 months. But they trying to find a place where the children can go to someone who they know, or a relative or a distant relative. And so please, we need foster parents. We need foster parents.
It makes sense.
You don't have a record of so just a small record, they'll let you go, but a big record, no. But try to be a foster parent if you can.
All right, and I do have the information. This is going to come from U.S. News and World Report. It says Missouri NAACP exercise caution in our state. Missouri NAACP issues advisory telling travelers to the state that their civil rights may be in danger.
The Missouri NAACP issued an advisory that tells travelers to be careful while in the state because of a danger that civil rights won't be respected, State Chapter President Rod Chappell said Monday. The advisory cites a bill passed by lawmakers this year that would make it more difficult to sue for housing or employment discrimination. The legislation is on the desk of Republican Governor Eric Greitens, and I hope I pronounced that right, who has not said whether or not he has signed the bill, but I believe he has since signed it, so this may be an older article I'm quoting from, but has supported other efforts to rein in lawsuits in an attempt to improve the legal climate for businesses in the state. A spokesman for the governor didn't immediately comment Monday. The state NAACP has strongly criticized the legislation, which Chappelle said could make it tougher to hold people accountable for harassment and discrimination against women, people with disabilities, and others. At this point, I think everyone at his civil rights are now in jeopardy, he said. Some Republican lawmakers and supporters, including the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry, argued the change will help to reduce the number of frivolous lawsuits they say have made it challenging to do business in the state. Chappelle said the advisory follows the culmination of the issues that are critical to civil rights in Missouri. Other issues cited in the advisory include a recent Attorney General's report that shows black Missouri drivers last year were 75% more likely to be stopped than whites. Chappelle said the organization's state chapter is considering a full boycott tactic that has been used against other states that have adopted conservative policies. The NAACP in February launched an economic boycott in North Carolina over the state's so-called bathroom bill, as well as the ongoing legal fights over voting rights. In May, the American Civil Liberties Union issued a warning about traveling to Texas because of the state's new law banning so-called sanctuary cities. The Missouri NAACP and other opponents of the bill on discrimination are rallying Tuesday at the Capitol to urge Greetings to veto the legislation, which again I think was ultimately passed. I'm gonna go ahead and let you all start on this. I'm gonna actually try to find something that kind of greater spells out what the actual ban is, but y'all can go ahead and kind of start the discussion.
This agitates the fire out of me. It is 2017 and ain't nobody better than anybody. I'm sorry. I thought Jim Crow died a long time ago.
Well, you know, some of the principles are still in place. Some of the practices are still used now. So he's gone, but, you know, he left a legacy, apparently, and some people like it. Some people like it. So, but basically, if I'm going from Arkansas to St. Louis, considering we were, you know, we do have these various speed limits, and even if I'm riding on the speed limit, I have it's set in there where it can't budge. I'm still capable of being stopped just because I'm a black female, but just because I'm black. You know, being a female, I don't know that really is special or not. It may be another reason why I can't go to Missouri, depending on what officer I pass and how he's feeling that day. But
my question is, how is the officers feeling that way? You know, because there is a whole bunch of cultures in the state of Missouri, and just about every culture is justified as a police officer there. It's very, you know, diverse in their police departments. How are they feeling about this bill that's coming across? I know how I feel about it, and I'm not even a police officer from Missouri. It makes me so mad, wants me wanting to drive up there to Jefferson City and sit and wait them out. That's how agitating I'm agitated.
And unless I'm mistaken, is actually kind of an indefinite thing that they're trying to do. This means that they don't know when and don't care when it will be lifted unless something happens and someone says, I want to lift it now. And Missouri is right next to Arkansas, right? We can knock on the door and talk to someone.
It's less than 2 hours from here.
Yeah, so Arkansas, Missouri, there's a state line. I'm wondering, considering I'm a Jonesboro resident in the state of Arkansas, hopefully this doesn't trickle to anyone here, because that would not be okay.
Brother Cobbs.
Brother Boyd has
Brother Boyd.
Oh, well, I was going to jump in on that comment that you said, no one is better than the next person, and that's very true.
Yes.
Because we all here for one purpose.
Right, and that's love and survival.
Yes.
Ain't nobody better than anybody. It's 2017. We need to preach love and not war. I'm sorry.
Yep.
There is time for that, and it is not now. Sorry, Brother Cobbs. I stepped off on you. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't.
I'm on my soapbox. I'm sorry.
Just hitting the table. You can hear it coming through the microphone. Okay, brother. I mean,
Brother Brad.
Surprisingly, I didn't have a chance to read up on this topic ahead of time, but LaGaines was reading the article, and we're talking about a travel advisory ban with the.
And I've got some more information once you said your point.
The information was related to businesses, so I'm not really sure how the travel ban goes in correlation.
So this may be of more help, and this comes from stlpublicradio.org. It says the Missouri General Assembly's Black Caucus is attacking a bill that makes it harder for fired workers to prove discrimination. Citing well, make sure I got the right one here. Senate Bill, SB 43 passed. It says an employee would have to prove that, among other things, sex, race, religion, or sexual orientation is the main reason for being let go. Currently, he or she has to prove it was one of the factors. The bill has passed the Missouri Senate now before the State House. And I remember when I was reading it, that was the main crux of the bill, that now, instead of it being one of racial discrimination being one of the factors for a dismissal or being pulled over, it now has to be proven in court that it is the absolute main factor. So the threshold of proving discrimination has been raised much higher, and that is what has led to the boycott.
Okay, so based on that, I mean, I'll 100% agree. There are crappy people in this world that do bad things, and I hate that. Now, how does this have to correlate to a travel advisory?
It was put out there as a travel ban. Now it may have circulated.
But we're talking about employment.
Okay, the first thing came out was the travel ban. That's the first thing they alluded to was that. But then they brought in talking about the discrimination and all this.
Well, to answer Brad's question, because I had read an article.
Maybe I'm missing something
about
here.
this. Well, I think the reason why the travel thing was issued is because, again, with the threshold being held higher to prove discrimination, let's say if you are a minority and you are stopped in Missouri and you feel you were unfairly treated, it is now going to be more difficult to get recourse on the grounds of you being discriminated than it was before. So basically the NAACP is saying don't travel to Missouri, because if something were to happen to you and a minority and you get unfairly treated, your options for recourse are not what they used to be.
Okay.
It's not that they're going out targeting you, but just if you just so happen to fall in a certain area, a certain predicament, like you said, your recourse won't be harder to prove. Or you got the main thing got to be, you got to show, was it discrimination motivated?
There's a lot of thin lines in there.
All I got to say is the state of Missouri and all the states, and I know Jonesboro has, but they need to invest in a body camera. Period. A body camera, because the camera ain't gonna lie, and it's fed to somewhere other than to your person.
Just like Brad was saying during the break, if the stoplight going, if it catch you running the stoplight, it don't care who you are, black, red, white, or whatsoever. It's up to the court when they send that ticket out to see if they want to, send it to this. Oh, this Mr. So-and-so, we going to let it pass. Or this Mr. So-and-so, he over there with the so-and-so stuff. We're going to get him. And so that's where it's going to be harder to prove how many. Okay, just say how many people were stopped before on 95th Street. How many were stopped compared to how many were stopped on 125th Street, where it's more predominantly white. And where it's more predominantly, the New York do this study all the time, about the police and the black ratio, and that's the main thing what they're trying to do. And then once you get that, can you prove it?
Right.
That's the topic. Can you prove it?
Right.
And you shouldn't have to prove it, because it should be fair. Right. From Jump Street.
What's good for one is good for all, and I have always felt that way, and for generations, we have always practiced what we preach.
Let's be thankful we don't have this piece of legislation in Arkansas.
Yes, I was going to say.
Let's be thankful that our community here is not having to go about that.
That's what I was
Jonesboro
saying.
Police Department is in the process of acquiring body cameras.
Good.
Chief Elliott has talked about it.
Great to hear.
Chief Elliott has talked about it when he's been on community conversations.
Well, I got a question, but wasn't that like a mandatory thing before President Obama got out, that he required the police
The body
departments, they'll have body cams.
I heard those words.
No,
at
but
one
I
point.
don't think so, Brother Boy. But I think the Justice Department was working on something. And don't quote me on this, but because I don't have the facts in front of me. But I think there was possibly a program in place to assist departments in getting cameras if they so wanted. Now I do know in my talks with Chief Elliott, even before this became a hot topic, he had already been looking into cameras, evaluating different ones before they made the decision on the ones that they're going to get going forward. So Chief Elliott, and I will give him credit for it, was proactive in this regard as far as the Jonesboro Police Department.
It don't only protect the police department, but it protects the citizens of that area.
What is the body camera going to do that the car camera has?
Well, the body camera is literally on your body.
Mhm.
It's on your person. It picks up everything that is said, all the, the reaction to the person who's been pulled over or the situation at hand. And then it goes.
And then I didn't mean to cut you off. Once Amanda finishes, I'll give you an example because I did assist the police academy and I did a ride along, so I can kind of explain a situation where a body camera could be abused. But go ahead and finish.
But it goes, the live feed goes to somewhere else and it's stored. It's out of the hands.
So that's the difference between the body cam and the
vehicles.
So let me give my example. Okay, when I did my ride along for Citizens Police Academy, the officer went on a domestic call between a husband and wife that were basically into it, and the husband wanted to come to the house to retrieve his things, and the wife wouldn't let him. So we pulled up, and the officer had to actually go into the house and stand there while the husband went and retrieved his things. Well, obviously, if the car is parked outside, the car can only see the outside of the house. But once that officer went in, with his camera on, he can see, what's going on inside the house while the husband and wife, they're shouting and yelling and cursing at each other. And
but again, the car cameras haven't made that much of a difference. We see what they do, and I don't see what difference is made other than there's evidence that we clearly get to know that they just are not caring about or not making it inadmissible in court and things such as that.
And that may be a conversation definitely for another show. I mean, yeah, and that's with any technology, it's all about the application of it. We can make it available, but if we don't apply it or use it, then how's it going to help? And that goes with anything.
But don't some people turn them off?
It can possibly.
And that's something that definitely will need to be looked at and be addressed. But we're going to have to get ready to go to a break again. When we come back, we're going to talk about, unfortunately, a topic that may soon be staring the entire nation at the face. Is the United States going to go to war? And if so, what can we do to prepare for it? Besides pray.
That's all I can do.
Amen.
We all need some prayer. We always need prayer.
This is Our Thoughts on the Matter. You listen to KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
If you drink for good health, as recent news reports suggest you should, don't swallow yet. The protective health benefits of drinking alcohol have everything to do with what, how, and when you drink. Knocking back a few in the wrong way at the wrong time can knock you out for a 10 count. An occasional glass of red wine is healthful, but binging on large quantities of wine or other drinks is dangerous, especially for African Americans, who when they drink tend to consume larger quantities of alcohol than other ethnic groups. Moderation and quality are important. Malt liquors sold in large containers are heavily marketed in Black communities and are bad for your health. Choose wisely. Spend more on quality beverages you can savor in small amounts. I'm Alexis Comer for Black Health Now.
Black Health Now.
Black Health Now was made possible by Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated. Counseling of all ages dealing with depression, anxiety, child abuse, and more. Details at 1-866-972-1268. Online at lscihealth.com.
Black Health Now is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Meineke of Jonesboro is now Starks Auto Service, a full-service auto repair and vehicle maintenance center offering engine and transmission repair, brake service, tires, oil changes, and more, performed by ASE certified mechanics. The all-new Starks Auto Service, 2813 South Caraway Road in Jonesboro, 870-204-7112. Starks Auto Service, Jonesboro.com.
Hello, I'm Officer Jonathan Hagens of the Jonesboro Police Department. One of the best decisions I ever made was to join the Jonesboro Police Department. Since joining, I've had the pleasure to give back, protect, and serve my community. Now I want to let you know about that same opportunity. The Jonesboro Police Department will conduct testing for the patrol officers at the Valley View High School. Applications are available online at jonesboropolice.com. The Jonesboro Police Department offers a competitive salary, health, and retirement benefits, top-of-the-line training, and most importantly, the chance to make a difference in the Jonesboro community. Join me in making Jonesboro a better place. The Jonesboro Police Department is an equal opportunity employer, and women and minorities are especially encouraged to apply. More information, 870-935-5657.
Applications are being accepted through September 7th, 2017. Applications are available at jonesboropolice.com. Support for KLEK is brought to you by
Fullness of Joy Ministries, 2120 Thorn Street, Jonesboro, under the direction of Bishop Adrian Rogers and co-pastor Susan Rogers. www.fjministries.org.
And now back to our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Back on our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. I have Mrs. Amanda Donovan. She's actually running the board today, and joining us is Miss. Is it Miss or Mrs.?
It's Helen.
Okay, just well, you know, we're trying to be funny. Helen Scott, and we have Brother Cobbs, myself, Kato Wonder. We have Brother Boyd from Victory Praise Gospel, and we have Mr. Brad Dow. Now we're going to switch topics. You know, we've been talking about a variety of things, but this next one is actually pretty serious. I'm sure if anyone has followed the news, you know, there has been a war of words so far between President Trump and Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea. They've been issuing threats to each other, and these threats do involve the very real possibility of nuclear weapons being involved. It's gotten to a point now where Kim Jong-un has threatened to send fire missiles off the coast of Guam, and President Trump has responded. I believe he used the words fire and fury. So, you know, we are now looking at the very real possibility that the United States could be going to war, and also the very real possibility that nuclear weapons could be involved. And of course, I know, with the exception of Brother Cobbs, sorry, I gotta pick on you because you're the oldest one of us. We're at the rest of us, we don't remember the Cold War or doing nuclear drills.
Wow.
Actually,
Wow.
Well, we were coming in on the tail end of it. You know, when Reagan was telling
Somebody's about to
Gorbachev
get
to tear down the wall.
trying to get your attention.
But I'm really being serious. So we
Yeah.
actually, you know, don't remember the Cuban Missile Crisis or, you know, the height of the Cold War. But so this is new to us. So I guess before the panel, you know, what is we as American people need to do to prepare for the possibility of something like this could happen, because a lot of us aren't prepared.
Well, the first and foremost you need to do is prepare ahead of time.
Yes.
One, you need to have a plan. You and your family need to know where to go. Two, you need a minimal of 48 hours worth of food and water. You need more than that, but that's just a minimal from what the U.S. government says. That means non-perishable items, beans, canned goods, etc. A person most of the time drinks about a gallon worth of water a day. So you need plenty of food and water, medication, you know, things that like you would have for a tornado packet or earthquake
First
preparedness
aid
kit, first aid kit. during nuclear attack, you know, there is several different things you can do, but the first thing you need to do is pray.
Yes.
2 is get indoors, preferably in a concrete underground. Back when, it's not there no more, but for an example, a fallout shelter. The old City Water and Light down there in the corner of Main and Johnson used to be a designated, back in the 50s, we had designated fallout shelters. Now we don't have them. So, but, you know, here, we're not necessarily worried about nuclear attack. It's more like nuclear fallout. So anywhere from about a week to 2 weeks is what they're saying, depending on how big it is and where it lasts.
Okay.
Don't we have buildings here for that? Aren't we supposed to just as a city?
And that might be a good thing
No,
to
we
ask.
don't.
We don't.
We don't.
So-
the only thing
hold
that
on,
only
hold on.
place that could possibly
I
is
thought we was-
hospitals.
I think you probably
Or
just
go
want to
to the
relax
base.
right now because, okay, if you were to read any form of foreign policy and everything like that, right now, typically during the months of April and August are traditionally, as far back through the 70s and 80s, we are always high tension because these are the times of the year that both sides of those military factions decide to do exercises. Also in the month of August is a Korean Liberation Day for North Korea, so they like to do their things too. This is honestly, if you go back and read any articles, any reports, this is pretty normal. So
Well, with all due respect to, because it's that time to party
Right.
for them, we still need to make sure that as
Well-
a city, aren't we supposed to have like an emergency plan?
We do actually have an emergency plan. You can
Places to
contact
go.
David Moore
Well,
with the OEM.
again, kind of what I'm saying is like this is actually pretty normal in the military scene. This happens every year about this time. The thing you have to realize about the North Korean regime is that they put Kim Jong-un as a god, and the man will do whatever he can to keep power. The thing that you got to realize is that as soon as he actually does what he is saying he is going to do, that he has written his death sentence.
Right.
And that does not keep power.
Well,
Okay.
let's just pray that
And
there is no
his-
nuclear war.
The current allies of North Korea, for example, China has already openly said that if you strike first, we will not support you. So the man is on his own island right now.
Mhm.
He literally he can threaten.
Oh,
and
he
and
won't.
and he has threatened ever since he has been in power. There have been a lot of incidences that have occurred where there has been no retaliation at that point but the main supporters of North Korea, being Russia and China, have actually said, we will not support you.
The
So
question is, what if he is crazy enough to do it?
if he is crazy enough to do it, then the man seriously, he will be wiped out. Because the thing you have to worry about really and truly is the fact that within 100 miles of the DMZ, you have about 25 million people living in Seoul.
Right.
Okay. So there's 25 million reasons why the man will not attack, because he will be immediately wiped out.
Right.
But don't we have places if something does happen that we have in Jonesboro, each city is supposed to have?
No, not designated anymore. Not sent.
Well, I
Go
think
to
what
the
Helen's
base.
asking, even if they're not officially designated, buildings that have been built to the standard to could withstand it. Because you mentioned the old city one of light building. Is that building still standing?
No, it was demolition for a parking lot, but ideally, concrete, anything underground. And you stay in there
So
till
what
they
about-
say
To the
come out.
military base.
So what about the schools? If something happens, they just go where?
They pretty much back in the 50s would tell you to get under your desk and hold on.
That'd be nice if we got some of those in town. wouldn't it?
But yeah, well,
Brother
yeah,
Cobbs?
and like I said, we may
gotta
need
I
to.
think we done missed what we was start out talking about. We was trying to see what would Trump and this man do. I said put them on an island, let them two little nuts.
That's right. I agree. Leave me out of it.
Well, hey,
That's probably why we missed
maybe
it.
hey, instead of doing Mayweather McGregor, do Trump and There you go.
Thank you. That's I mean.
Well, we got 48
He
seconds.
gonna
Anything else?
He gonna keep on till something actually happens when you can just go ahead on and just fight it out and be through with it and go it on. Them two.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have to use everybody.
Yeah, but
But I
it's been
don't wanna
going
die
on for
for him.
years. So
But if
Thank you.
something does happen, I don't think it would hurt. I don't think it would hurt for our town to be prepared for something.
Amen.
even when
Any
Obama
questions?
was in office,
Call
you know,
David Moore, OEM for the Craighead County. It's in the phone book. So he's got all the questions and answers for you.
Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in as always. And of course, anything that you want to talk about, call us at the radio station. May each and every one of you have a great and blessed day. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Have a blessed day.
Thank you for listening to our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program offering opinions from all sides of the issues concerning local, state, and national topics of importance.